Hey everyone, cricket rockstar Devo Tyrell ordained with the rockstar shades on me. Let's get on with it, my friends. So first and foremost, let me say that the fourth test match, which concluded today between England and India, was played in good spirits, even though it ended in a draw. And one thing must be said, this test match was not only played in good spirits, but it had everything from Rishabh Pant coming back to bat after suffering a broken foot and was forced to retire hurt on day 1, Ben Stokes batting with cramps late on day 3 into day 4, Joe Root going past Ricky Ponting as second highest run scorer in the history of Test cricket. But the one thing which I thought was selfish from Ben Stokes was requesting for Washington Sundar and Ravindra Jadeja to shake hands. Both of them selflessly declined to get their milestones. Now, what Ben Stokes was forced to do was truly selfless in the last hour. However, when he had reached out to them, he was being salty and selfish. Look, Ben Stokes is a great cricketer, no doubt about it. But the way how he got on and refused to shake hands with Jadeja wasn't in the right spirit of the game. And in my opinion, he needs to apologize. And let me also say this, not just to England, Australia and India, but the big three in particular. I'm calling out all three countries. You cannot be getting on selfish and salty. And this goes to past and present cricketers. I'm talking about current and former. You cannot get on selfish and salty. I won't go into the one bad egg part because we're not here to discuss that. But what Jadeja and Sundar did to get to their centuries and then calling off the game was very selfless, and Ben Stokes obviously had to go along with it just to be selfless. But as a person who is captaining an international team, you cannot get on salty and selfish like that. There was a time I used to do that, but not anymore because I've grown into a mature young man. But for real, it shouldn't have reached that point because Jadeja was in his nervous 90s and almost there, and Sundar was on 84, and the game was already destined for a draw in anyways because neither team wasn't going for the win. In fact, India, they were way behind in the game after being bowled out, after they were bowled out for 358, and England having been bowled out for a massive 669 in their first inning. They had a lead of 311, and yesterday they had India no runs for 2 wickets, and in their second inning it started dismally with both Jaiswal and Rahul exiting early. Then the resilience began. In fact, correction, not KL Rahul, was the other opener, Jaiswal, and this other one, I forgot the name, but the resilience began from Captain Shubman Gill, who went on to score, I think, his 4th century of the series or something like that. And KL Rahul, he made 90 to keep India's hopes of saving the game alive. Today themselves, after the departure of Gill and Rahul, Ravindra Jadeja and Washington Sundar, who were promoted up the order due to the expense of the injury to Pant, who wasn't able to bat, although he could have been batting limply, took over, and they made the English bowlers suffer, and they put on an unbroken stand that defied the English bowling attacks and their hopes of clinching the series. Now, India obviously cannot win the series now as the game ended in a draw, but both all-rounders reached their respective centuries. First one for Sundar and another test match century for Jadeja in a notable moment, in fact, in the right time. Now, Stokes had offered to give a handshake to signal a draw. We all know the game was going for a draw, but both batters declined because they wanted to get their 3 figures, as I mentioned before, which I have no problems with. Stokes should have understood that they wanted to get their milestones, then call it off. Even a few cricketers in the past did it as well. I remember Michael Clarke in the 2009 Ashes. Now that test match I'm talking about now, 16 years ago at Edgbaston, which ended in a draw. Both teams agreed that Clarke should get the milestone and then call it quits. That's what they did. Same thing to with Jadeja and Sundar, but we all know what had happened in 2009. Similar thing happened in 2025. I'm glad that they got their centuries though. It will give them confidence. However, they cannot afford to draw the last test because England will take the Anderson Tendulkar trophy. But They did eventually finish on 425 for the loss of 4, seeking a remarkable draw after evicting the deficit of 311 runs, or should I say wiping off the deficit of 311 after being behind for most of the test match. And Ben Stokes, by the way, was adjudged player of the match for his all-round performances. Now, Jadeja obviously did take wickets in the only innings that the Indians bowled, and along with his century. But what we saw was truly captivating, and it showcased the resilience and the fighting spirit of the Indian team. And I said on social media before, this young Indian team will be very lethal under Shubman Gill's captaincy. I'm coming back from being 2 wickets down for no runs and trailing by a massive margin. Shubman Gill's leadership and determination did set the platform, and then the way how Jadeja and Sundar batted to save the game was truly selfless, because there was no way either team could have lost anyways, and they did it against an English attack that basically was tired and wanted to get off the park. And the selfish tactics that Ben Stokes did by letting Root and Harry Brook bowl in the back end, he could have either bowled Jofra Archer or even Liam Dawson, who I thought wasn't all that bad in his return test match. But I'm happy that the game ended in a draw and cricket was truly the real winner. That's it for this video. Hope you guys liked it. Remember, like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Till then, be good, be cool, stay frosty, and we'll continue.